Wake up, Detroit. I'm Joanne Watson, and this is your wake-up call.
When a brown girl child is born, the earth shifts. The sun is at half-mast. The moon waits for her first cry. The ancestors set the table. The flowers turn red as blood. This is your land, continent daughter, with tree trunk legs and branches for arms. This is your soil, black and fertile as your eyes facing an apartheid, Jim Crow, current, past memory. Some of us begin the removal of shackles at birth. We grow into the armor of struggle quickly. We brew courage in our tea, blend bravery into our Sunday dinners. Joanne Watson, you understand nation building is not a part-time job. This dedicated life is sometimes lonely, a vulnerable choice, but it is the only way you know how to operate. You are wired for the movement in your black women bones, even when tired, still fighting, still organizing, still singing morning spirituals. You were born to lead, even in your own family, the eldest of 10 children born to Jefferson and Lestine.
Wake up, Detroit. I'm Joanne Watson. This is your wake-up call. What a wonderful day. This is vote day. This is the day we've been waiting for. And let us turn over this Get Out the Vote edition, this national edition of Wake Up, Detroit, and turn it over to Attorney Jack, who's going to introduce a very special, phenomenal guest who's going to lead us off for the program this day. Wake up, Detroit. Derek A. Humphreys is in the house.
Well, thank you very much, Reverend Watson. We appreciate this being on your show, Wake Up Detroit, the national edition. As you know, this show will be shown throughout the country on YouTube. And so, as we bring this message to the nation, we're so very pleased to have with us today a history maker,
Yeah.
a fighter and leader,
Yeah.
grounded in faith and family,
Come on now.
Congressman Jim Clyburn. Okay, he's a member of the U.S. House of Representatives representing
Yeah.
South Carolina's 6th Congressional District since January 3rd, 1993. He has been reelected 15 times, and he is
My.
a 2-time majority whip, first from 2007 to 2011, and a 2nd time from January 3rd, 2019 to now. As chair of the Congressional Black Caucus 1999-2001, you'll remember when you, Dorothy Jackson, and I worked closely with the chairman, Clyburn at the time, to effect racial profiling known as driving while black. He helped to change the mindset of General Motors and the entire auto industry, and successfully launched Buckle Up, which saves today even at least 2,000 lives annually. Indeed, working with Majority Leader Jim Clyburn makes a believer out of you and everyone in the concept of teamwork makes the dream work. And with that, we say good morning to Majority Whip Jim Clyburn. Welcome to the show.
Thank you. Thank you so much for having me. And thanks to you, Reverend Watson, for the tremendous work that you do on behalf of the Detroit community and the community at large. As you know, in the words of Martin Luther King Jr., what this is all about, even this election, is building their beloved community. It's also about the pursuit of perfection. We know the preamble that says that we are always pursuing a more perfect union. The question today is, will we continue that pursuit, or will we step back from that journey? And so thank you guys for having me, and I look forward to the show.
Thank you very much, Congressman Clyburn. It's an honor, definitely an honor. As we look at this day, what can we expect as you have looked out across the landscape, even this morning? I'm certain that you've been on the telephone. What can we expect?
Well, I've been texting this morning. I had to use my phone to do that. I've been back and forth with Jimmy Harrison this morning. I saw him on one of the early shows. Jimmy is kind of interesting to me. I was with him last night as he brought his campaign to a close in his hometown of Orangeburg, where I went to college. And Jimmy is a young 44-year-old. A lot of people seem to think just dropped out of the sky. No, Jimmy's been around for a while. As you know, Derek, he was with me when he was an intern. He came into my life when he was about in the 11th grade. And he has worked methodically, laying a foundation, and he has launched a campaign that I think is going to be very, very successful. Someone asked me last night, you really think Jimmy's going to win? I said, Jimmy's already a winner. What we got to do now is elect him to the United States Senate. And so that's what this campaign is all about. Jamie is already a winner. I do believe that Joe Biden and Kamala Harris are already winners. The success depends upon how effective we are at overcoming this voter suppression effort that is taking place. If you ever believed you would see a Democratic or a Republican Party going into court, trying to get ballots thrown out 48 hours before the election, 127,000 ballots, they want to throw them out. These kinds of voter suppression efforts going on, they're going to have lawyers and intimidators all around the polling places. We got to say to our folks today, don't be deterred. When John Lewis was walking across that bridge back in 1965, along with 599 others, they looked across that bridge and they saw the intimidators. They didn't quit. And thank God they didn't. And so that's what we got to do here. Just because these people are going to be walking around, I just saw your governor on TV this morning, carrying guns in the polling places. Don't be intimidated. Just because Donald Trump says he's going to declare himself the victor, he is a two-bit dictator. Don't be deterred. Let's go to the polls in record numbers. All we got to do, as we say in sports, just hold what you got, because we got this. We got to hold it today. We can lose it today. Let's don't lose it.
Now, Dorothy Jackson, who you know very well,
Absolutely.
worked with on so many projects on behalf of so many people.
In fact, Derek, I don't know if you noticed or not, I've heard from Dorothy Jackson more in the last 10 days than I've heard from anybody else. She's doing incredible work. I was so pleased to see her so engaged. She's emotionally engaged in this campaign. And she brings with her so much talent. And thank you for your long friendship. When you were in Washington teaching me how to do my job, I really appreciate it. And thank you so much today.
You're welcome.
Well,
Derek, were you calling on me for a comment?
yes, well, you brought your entire sorority to us yesterday, globally. Please share that.
Today I want to recognize my Divine Nine cousin, Congressman Clyburn, who is a member of Omega Psi Phi. And later we'll be joined by Congresswoman Brenda Lawrence, who is a member of Delta Sigma Theta. So
That's right.
This is carrying on our line of how involved the Divine Nine is in the campaign. And I'm wearing the colors, as you can all see, of my sister. And that's the uniform of the day for members of Alpha Kappa Alpha.
Go ahead.
But I did wanted to say to Congressman Clyburn and remind him that my cousin, Santana Delano Freeman, is the mayor of Abbeville, South Carolina.
Come on now.
So I've been also speaking to my entire family in Abbeville and 96 and Due West and Hodges and Ware Shoals and Anderson.
My goodness.
Making sure they're out supporting Jamie also. So I'm trying to do as much as I can do to make this happen.
Well, thank you so much for that, Dorothy. You know, it's kind of interesting. Several weeks ago, just a few days after Kamala was named to be on the ticket, I was doing an event. And I said to all the Divine Nine, I'm a proud member of Omega Psi Phi fraternity, but through November 3rd, I'm an AKA. That's what I am. It's kind of interesting. So the next day, I get this text from Kamala, Dear Sarah.
And Congressman, you also are an Archon, a member of Sigma Pi Phi, right?
Absolutely. Yes, I am. Yes, I am. And I've been working with them as well. You know, that group is a very solid group. A lot of people do not know how engaged civically Sigma Pi Phi is, and the fact that it is the oldest African American fraternity. It was just never on a college campus. It is a professional fraternity found several years before the college fraternities were found. And those men of Sigma Pi Phi and their CUSA are doing tremendous work here in South Carolina, and I suspect all over the country as well.
Well, as you know, Judge Eric Washington and I are members of the chapter in Washington, D.C., and we have on this call with us the president-elect, Dr. Antoine Garibaldi from IOTA, Detroit chapter.
Oh, my God. Oh, yeah.
Please say hello to Dr. Garibaldi.
Hey, good morning.
Doctor.
Good morning, Congressman. Good morning, Reverend Watson, Ms. Jackson. Happy to be with you all this morning. I get the opportunity to be with you this morning because of my role as grandsire-elect of Sigma Pi Phi, and grandsire Dwayne Murray had another obligation this morning, so I get to do it from Detroit along with Derek and make that Detroit connection there too.
That's great.
I'm really happy to be here, and Congressman Clyburn has done just such a wonderful job for the fraternity, as well as many of the members of Congress, as well as their CUSI, in order to really advance us in terms of social justice, and particularly today in voting. So I'm really pleased. And while we're name dropping, we don't usually do this in Sigma Pi Phi, but I need to add in Alpha Phi Alpha to that group of the Divine Nine, and also let Congressman Clyburn know that Marcia and Louis Hassell are my dearest friends, and they're working down there in South Carolina.
Absolutely.
So, but I know, Derek, you asked me to be a part of this in part because of the fact that Sigma Pi Phi has really been doing a whole lot in terms of encouraging our 5,000 plus members and their CUSI, their wives, their spouses, in order to really get out the vote, but not only to get out the vote, but also to make sure that our vote is protected. So we have done a number of activities over the last 2 months in order to make sure that our members are aware of what we need to do. And we've had webinars, for example, with Congresswoman Val Demings and Congresswoman Beatty, with a very, very special webcast that we did back in September, because we have a memorandum of agreement and understanding with the Lawyers Committee on Civil Rights. And it has been very, very important. We have over 140 chapters around the country, and we really wanted to emphasize to our members how important this is. We've historically Black colleges raised monies for at least 10 HBCUs who have voting awareness and voter preparation on their campuses, as well as a number of other relationships, partnerships with Greek letter organizations as well too. So we're all singing from the same hymnal, as I say, because we realize how important the vote is today, and we really want to make sure that all of the people who are voting have their votes protected.
Thank you very much. And Congressman, your best friend and my fraternity brother, would not forgive me if I did not mention that Kappa Alpha Psi is in the house also.
Well, that's great. Yeah. Well, Benny Thompson, you know, is just a great friend. Ben and I knew each other for decades before we ever came to Congress to serve together. We've been serving together now for the last 27 years. I'll be hearing from Benny 2 or 3 times before noon.
Yes, sir. Well, we know that you have a tight schedule today, and that you informed Dorothy from the very beginning that you would have about 15 minutes. As you move on into your day, is there a closing word that you would like to share with us? I mean, you can stay, please, if you like to, but we want to be mindful of your time schedule.
Well, thank you guys so much for having me. Just let me say this. I know Joe Biden continues to call this campaign a fight for the soul of America. I call it a campaign to restore America's goodness. As many of you know, it's often said, and one particular writer once wrote that America is great because its people are good. And if the people of America ever cease to be good, America will cease to be great. What we've seen is the destruction of goodness in the presidency, the destruction of goodness in our political process. And what this campaign is about, in my opinion, is restoring America's goodness so that we can maintain America's greatness. That's what it's about, continuing this pursuit toward a more perfect union. And thank you guys for all that you do to help make this possible. I have a good feeling about tonight. I think I'm going to wake up in the morning and say to my sorrow that I'm going back to being an Omega. Thank you guys so much for having me with you this morning.
Thank you.
Thank you very much. Dorothy, would you like to just wrap?
And I would just like to thank Congressman Clyburn again for accepting our invitation and allowing me to keep texting and emailing until I finally got him to say yes. But I agree with you. I have a good feeling, and I think we're all standing on the shoulders of our ancestors, and we owe it to them to vote, to encourage each other to vote, and to keep fighting the good fight until all the polls are closed on the West Coast and other time zones. So thank you again for coming.
Thank you, and let me thank you on behalf of my late friend, very good friend, John Lewis, Phi Beta, who was what? He was Sigma?
Yes.
Yeah, so let's thank all of them. Divine Nine, show up and show out. John Lewis would have you do it that way.
Thank you, Congressman. And so as we move forward, we have a full schedule here. And so we will have, as we move forward, and I'll just name everyone. We've already heard from Dr. Garibaldi. We will move forward. You will be hearing from John Gruda, a journalism student in Detroit, and from Gregory Humphreys, a director of campaign strategies in Detroit, from Kim Jones, a journalism student in Detroit, from the Honorable Brenda Lawrence, member of Congress from Michigan's 14th Congressional District. And that will be our lineup today. We will be joined by the Congresswoman at approximately 8:45. And so with that, I'd like to turn it back to you, Joanne Reverend Watson.
We thank God for our Congressman Clyburn. What an honor and what a privilege to have him as a part of this wake-up call. I would like to now just ask for John Gruder to say a word about his role covering everything about this election as a journalism student at Wayne County Community College District. And following John Gruder, I'll ask Kimberly Jones to check in because she's also an outstanding journalism student like John Gruder, has been covering this election for these past many weeks. John Gruder.
It's been amazing to see how widespread so many of these issues are that are going on right now, and how historic they are. It's historic in every proportion I can think of, and it's really been amazing. I can't think of a more historic time in which to live.
That's true. This is truly a history-making time, and you feel the weight of history because every day there's something sensational that happens that is breaking news, right?
Oh, very much so. It's amazing to see how, in many ways, both the polarization of America is sad to see. On the other hand, that provides an opportunity for growth too. So maybe we'll learn something important out of this, and covering and just seeing the range of things is astounding.
Well said. Let me ask Kimberly Jones how this election season has impacted her as a journalism student, given all the history-making events that have taken place during the time of your work in journalism.
Thank you so very much, Professor, and thank you for this opportunity. It has affected me in ways that I could not have previously imagined. As one who was not political, you know, in terms of watching stories and learning different types of information, I would say that it has definitely opened my eyes, and it has made me have to come to some stark realizations about the world we live in and how we interact in the world and how people's predisposed mindsets have affected us. And I'm in agreement with John when he says that although this has been a really harsh time, I think that we'll be missing the message if we don't use this opportunity to become more aware of the things we have done to ourselves. You know, we can sit and say, well, it's this person's fault, it's this person's fault, but what did you contribute to this on an individual level? And I think that in order to gain something out of this whole thing, you have to look at what have you contributed individually? What types of mindset, what have you put out into the world? What have you taken in? So, and it is historical. That's why I chose not to mail my vote in, and I chose to actually go to the polls because I want to be able to say I was there.
All right now. I love it. Thank you so much, Kimberly Jones. Thank you so much, John Gruder, for representing journalists on this historic broadcast of the national edition of Wake Up Detroit, as we dedicate ourselves to getting out the vote on this very special election day, November 3rd. Attorney Derek Humphreys, you and the great attorney Dorothy Jackson and Dr. Dennis Rogers have worked so hard these many weeks, making sure that we had a national vehicle for engaging voters, citizens around this nation. You must feel like you're having a mountaintop experience today, particularly with your interview of the great Congressman Clyburn.
Well, thank you very much, Reverend Watson. It is an honor to be on Wake Up Detroit and the national edition. We are honored that we have this outlet. It's not always that an outlet like this has existed, where we could share the thoughts and express freedom of expression in so many ways. And so we're grateful. We have also, of course, in addition to Dorothy Jackson, who is the executive director and policy counsel of BCHLE, we have Dr. Dennis Rogers, who is the national field director of BCHLE, calling in from Raleigh, North Carolina. I think I see him, and welcome.
Let's hear from Dr. Rogers.
I think you have to unmute. Unmute.
Thank you. Thank
There
you
you
for
go.
the introduction. And I was saying, welcome to the Super Bowl of politics today. And I think we're all hoping it's going to be a one and done, but it may end up being a World Series for the struggles to come thereafter today. But the good news is 91 million voters have early voted. And as we, have a lot of discussion around the presidency, we know the veterans on the call that there are 30 Senate seats up for grabs, U.S. Senate seats, all 435 congressional seats, and the 4 territory seats, so 439 seats. And then at the state level, in Detroit and in Michigan and other states around the country, out of the 7,383 state house, Senate, and state house legislative seats, 65% of the state Senate seats are up for grabs today. 65%. 85% of the state house seats are up for grabs today. So the one vote that we are asking everyone within the sound of our voice to cast today sets up tens of thousands of votes yet to come over the next 4 years. And in the spirit of Mama Joanne Watson and Wake Up Detroit, and in the spirit of James Clyburn and Dorothy Jackson, in the spirit of Attorney Derek Humphreys and everyone with us today, we say today is the day to be counted. We need you to get out and vote today.
That's right. That's right. There's no opting out today.
No, this is the Super Bowl. All hands on deck. We need every player on the field. No one gets to sit out absent. Drive us to the polls. Get on the phone. We know the drill. Have a plan.
That's right.
Text your people. Call your people within your network, both in your city and without your city in other states, because we're all connected. As Dorothy Jackson reminds us, we have networks and family networks in other cities and states and municipalities. And today is the day to activate the network. Even people you haven't talked to in years, get on the phone and let them know that you're in that number and we're all to be counted today.
Absolutely. Well said. Attorney Derek Humphreys, today is the day.
Today is the day. Indeed, as Dr. Rogers has indicated, we have to be on the court, full court press. And I'm told that 6 states in particular to watch: Pennsylvania, Florida, South Carolina, North Carolina, Minnesota, and Texas. Now, I wonder if any of us on the call today have relatives in those states. And if we do, have we been talking to them, networking, letting them know that we are honored to be a part of Wake Up Detroit, the national edition, and that we send the word from here to them to also create a daisy chain effect of calling others to ensure that everybody in the family is calling and is part of the telephone network and the social media network, so that we do not miss anybody at all. Is that what you were saying, Dr. Rogers?
Absolutely. We need to call our long lost cousins, our great uncle. We need to call everyone we know, because this is serious. We're having fun today because we should have fun as we do this work. The reality is there is a lot at stake, and there's so much on the ballots. And, it goes beyond words, the tremendous importance of today. And with all seriousness, everyone, whatever you have within you, to make your calls, to be at the polls today, to have those conversations. Today is really D-Day. It's the day to do the work that God has put before us.
No one wants to wake up tomorrow morning and wonder if their impact was missing. Don't be missing in action. Let your vote be counted. Let your vote be heard. Today is the day. Today is the day. And vote as if your life depended on it, because it does.
The mission of BCHLE, and I must give credit where credit is due, at this point on this mission is moving from protest to power at the polls. And in a moment, one of her continuing moments of inspiration, Dorothy Jackson was the one who fashioned this mission statement when we first started the show. And we're just very happy, and she demonstrates the type of inspiration which has helped drive our continuing commitment across the country and to center our energy and our thoughts to and through Wake Up Detroit. Dorothy, would you like to elaborate on?
Well, everybody was out in the street protesting. And then there was the other people who were trying to use the protest as cover to do evil things. So we just want, that statement to me reminds us that we don't just march, we don't just protest, there has to be something at the end of it. The March of Washington, the Voting Rights Act came out of that. So you always want to look forward from the future and see what we can gain from that. So I think we have galvanized, not just us, but we have helped to galvanize us. And it is Reverend Watson and the people behind the scenes at Wake Up Detroit National Edition Live who gives us this platform. And I don't think that, I can't take credit for this because it's inspired. I received the message for that theme of moving from protest to power at the polls. So I don't take any personal credit. And as I'm working with a great team, and as Tina Turner says, this team is simply the best.
All right, put Tina Turner in the mix. I love it. I love it.
As I think about this opportunity in our time, I think of the memories that I have as a law student at Wayne State University, having the opportunity to work with Robert Millender.
My.
Indeed. The Millender Center in downtown Detroit is named after Robert Millender. He was a mentor to so many. And
that's right.
When you think of the Millender Center, it's a central architectural creation right there anchoring next to City Hall. Is that correct, Joanne?
That is correct. And what a wonderful thing that the Honorable Coleman Alexander Young made sure that there was something named for Robert Millender in downtown Detroit, because he was not only a mentor to you, Attorney Derek Humphreys, but he also mentored the Honorable Coleman Alexander Young and the Honorable Congressman John Conyers. So he was an absolute powerful force on the nation, the great Robert Millender.
And I think when I think of that and of what you are doing, for instance, with the students, Kimberly Jones, for instance, being mentored here. You know, that's a special.
I am overwhelmed with pride that I'm able to say that she is my professor and my instructor. And actually, we have a little bit more history. I'm a retiree from the city of Detroit, and I was engaged with Dr. Watson quite often, trying to do what we could to serve the citizens of Detroit. And so I already knew that she was worthy of leadership, and I was really excited when I had the opportunity to study under her, and I'm still excited about it. She is, you know, maybe one day when I grow up, I'll get to be a little bit of her, but it is really exciting, and I am so grateful to just have that support, which is something, you know, we tend to lack at times within our communities. We shy away from supporting each other and gravitate more to harming each other. And to see, this is, Dr. Watson shows us, this is how it's really supposed to be done. You're supposed to reach down and pull up and support and empower and entrust one another. So I am elated at the fact that I get to study with and under her, and also my classmate, John Gruden.
Thank you so much.
John pushes me to do better. You know, sometimes when I hear his papers, I'm like, oh, okay, Kim, you could do a little better. But it is a happy time within the bad time that we find ourselves currently in. So I'm grateful for the fact that it allows me for just a moment to kind of step away from everything that's happening and just be creative and be interlocking with one another.
Now, when you were invited to be a very significant part of this broadcast.
Oh my goodness, you're gonna make me blush. Okay, very significant.
Yes. Were you aware that, for instance, Dr. Rogers would be calling in from Raleigh, North Carolina?
No, I did not. I wasn't sure. Well, first of all, if Dr. Watson's involved, I know it's going to be a high-end affair. So I think I was more just a little bit nervous about perhaps fitting in and being able to be up to par on such a distinguished panel. But ultimately, I decided to just be myself. You know, that's you can only be you. So I said, I'll go on and I'll be myself, and I'll do my best to make Dr. Watson proud. So that's what I'm trying to do.
You're doing a wonderful job.
Thank you.
You're acquitting yourself well. And
Thank you.
I believe in that all students and all of us truly are lifelong students.
That's right.
Including myself. None of us get to the point where we know all we need to know. The life is a college of lifelong learning, so we're all learning. And
That's how I say it.
Yeah, absolutely. I have been very, very blessed to have been mentored by some of the most outstanding people in the universe. So anybody who has been mentored by Mother Rosa Parks,
yes,
and Irma Henderson and Marianne Mahaffey, and John Conyers, Reverend Dr. C.T. Vivian,
yes,
my Dr. Dorothy Irene Height. Lord have mercy. When you've been mentored by a host of people who have poured into you, it would be a disgrace before God if I didn't mentor anybody else.
It would.
It is my privilege. Mary Jane Humphreys. It is my privilege. It's my privilege to be able to add journalism students to Wake Up Detroit, because you are part of the substance to keep all of us going. It's media, it's journalism that allows the people to engage in decision making, to have access to knowledge. So just as the program is a journalism outlet, journalism students are the meat in the sandwich, and we're so happy to have John Gruden and Kimberly Jones representing journalism students today. on the Wake Up Detroit broadcast, and I appreciate the Attorney Derek Humphreys giving them a special platform today on this national edition of Wake Up Detroit, sponsored by the Black Congress on Health, Law, and Economics. Just wonderful. And they've been studying every aspect of this election leading up to today.
Yes, we
every aspect of it in the
Yes.
journalism class.
Well, it is what I would expect because Reverend Watson is very modest. She is actually taking this to the street today because she has a polling site at her church.
I do.
Okay, and I believe that's where you are right now. Is that correct?
I am in the polling spot in my church right now. I had to get up at 4 a.m. this morning to open the church at 5 a.m. so the election workers could come in and set up the poll and get ready for the voters. So as I talk to you, I'm watching a stream of voters come by who are holding their ballots and standing in line in a chilly weather in Detroit. It's not warm outside today. It's chilly. And there's a long line of Detroit voters who are standing in line to vote at my church at this polling place, and that makes it even more exciting. It's a blessing to be here.
That is literally taking it to the streets. Literally. And that is what is so wonderful about the program Wake Up Detroit, because it alerts you to so many perspectives and different ways in which we can express that energy. You've seen it now through your professors' presence, stretched from Washington, D.C. to where I'm located and Dorothy Jackson is located, to Orangeburg, South Carolina,
Come on now.
where the number 3 leader in the U.S. House of Representatives spoke to you, all the way to Raleigh, North Carolina, where Dr. Rogers is located. So it is that wonderful networking impact that Reverend Watson has on all of us. And it's not just academic. Here it is, 4 o'clock in the morning. She's up. Not just academic.
Not just talking the talk, walking the walk.
That's right, walking the walk.
That is definitely how you tell who the real ones are. Are they walking it?
And we are just so pleased and honored to be a part of this.
Likewise, very honored, and I'm very honored to be here.
So, John, how did you come to make the decision to enroll in the class taught by Reverend Watson?
I love to write, and I've always looked at journalism as sort of history in the making. And I thought one way to challenge myself was to be a part of that. And I was so delighted when I got to have her and see her as the instructor. I've known her name for many years, and I really respected it. So this opportunity, I had no idea this would ever happen. I just thought I'd do my little writing and try to cover as best I could. And it's been quite an education. And this is the top of it all. So it's been very it's been quite a road to be on. So I appreciate it very much, and I've learned a lot.
You know,
and on this historic day, it puts that in perspective.
Thank you, John.
And I have a testimony also to share in law school and thereabouts. I met Reverend Watson, and through the conversations that we all had, as expressed at that time through a show called For My People, I then went on to come to Washington and become a lawyer at the Federal Communications Commission, where I began to recycle some of the knowledge that I had to be allowed and invited to be on Wake Up Detroit.
Okay.
And so her reach is international, and so many, I mean, just so many different ways. What you are experiencing now will be a part of your memory bank, which will help to inform what you're doing. And I expect that there will be something on social media that you may share with us about the impact of being on the show with, once again, Congressman, okay? The Congressman, I mean, so important, Jim Clyburn, okay?
Yes.
And I think you may have seen him on television during the Democratic Convention.
That's right.
Right. And so it moves along. You have a thought on that, Dr. Rogers?
I do. I was just thinking about Adam Clayton Powell's public relations, Mr. Chuck Stone, who became a professor over at UNC Chapel Hill. And my first cousin, his name is Sharif Durhams, he became a student of Chuck Stone's and the first African-American editor of the Daily Tar Heel at the UNC newspaper. And as a journalism student, as both a truth seeker and a truth teller, you know, from that launching pad, he's gone on to work at CNN Digital, and he now works for the Washington Post Digital. So for the two students, both our retired students and our mature students, there's still truth to be found and truth to be told. And through the example of Mama Joanne Watson, we look forward to your contribution to the truth telling of this election cycle. What actually happened on the ground from your perspective? What have you been able to identify and research? Because we're all going through political socialization. You're socializing me right now in this digital platform, and we're all socializing our leaders to, as Attorney Jackson stated, to move from protest to power at the polls. So we're all on a trajectory that we can see, you know, high watermarks, including this program and the relationships established therein.
Derek, I'm going to take a moment to talk to one of the people lined up to vote here. Just ask how do they feel about voting.
Yes, please.
How do you feel about today?
I'm excited and I'm ready to vote.
Excited and ready to vote.
Yeah.
Right.
Oh, excellent. Excellent. Person
Tell
on the
us how you feel about voting today. Okay, you're on TV.
Okay.
All right. Yeah. How do you feel about voting today?
I feel great.
Feel great?
I feel great.
All right. Praise God.
Oh,
Wanted to get some instant feedback from the voters who were in line.
mhm.
How do you
Yeah.
feel about representing the election process today?
Feel good.
Excellent. Excellent. And Reverend Watson?
Yes.
We have our guest, Congresswoman Brenda Lawrence, who has joined us.
Wonderful. Wonderful. The Honorable Brenda Lawrence, who was born in Detroit.
That's right.
Pershing High School.
The 14th District, Congressional District, the great Honorable Brenda Lawrence. Such a blessing to have you on. We want to hear her give a get out the vote message today.
That's right. I want to say good morning to the amazing Joanne Watson. We always
God bless you, darling.
We always know when she's in the room because we hear her and we know her work. And when she speaks, we all stop to listen. Thank you so much. You don't look like a day of aging. God is really blessing you. Thank you so much.
Thank you, darling. I return the compliment. Thank you.
Well, it is Congresswoman Lawrence. It is an honor. Earlier, we were joined by Congressman Jim Clyburn.
My.
He called in from South Carolina as he was preparing to get back out on the road. And he shared with us his thoughts about what was very important about today and what's taking place. Would you please share with us your thought as we, in a few minutes, leave and go out on the streets, and a couple of us will get on an airplane to go to another venue.
Absolutely. I want to say good morning to everyone.
Good morning.
When I awakened this morning, let's start with last night.
Yes.
I have a practice that I do, and it is after you've done all you can, you thank God for all his blessings and say, I want God's will to be done. And I say that on a personal level as a candidate. But this time is different. It's different because, Lord, I'm praying for my country. I'm praying for my community. I'm praying for the peace. I'm praying for the policies and laws of this country. And I've worked so hard. You know, I've been with Barack Obama and Biden, and Kamala's coming back today to Detroit. Yesterday we had Kerry Washington. We had Lizzo. I had to find out who Lizzo was. We had Lizzo. But we had all these people coming here because Detroit and Michigan is so critical. You know, if we had only had 2 people per precinct in Michigan, 2, that would have turned out and voted, we wouldn't be living through this nightmare we're in now. So Michigan has been shaken to the core and said, wait a minute, you know, because I heard it. I know you heard it. I don't like either one of them. And so I'm not going to vote. And I have been very clear that when you don't vote, you are voting. And what you're doing, you're giving away your power to another vote. And it elevates that voice. It makes it louder. It makes it more powerful. And why would you give up your vote? And for my people in my community, in 14th District, it's about them turning out, like come out and vote. I've been on the phone finding those nephews and great nephews. And have you voted? You know, do you need a ride? You know, I'll send somebody over there to get you, or, you know, what's going on. And so we know it's about the turnout. It's about the turnout and the absentee ballots who have been turned in Detroit alone is so encouraging. It gives me hope because now I want some lines at the polls. I want to see the community turn out. You all remember when Barack Obama was on the ticket? Oh my goodness, it was good day in the morning. You went to the polls and my goodness, I remember because I was mayor then, I'm walking through my city and there were senior citizens, I'm snatching chairs. Give this senior a chair because I want everybody to be okay. Feed them, do whatever you need to do because it was just lines of people who recognize how important the power of their vote. And I'll close with what John Lewis said. Why do you think that there are people who work so hard to stop you from voting? Because they know that if they stop you from voting, they're taking your power. They know if they stop you from voting, they can suppress you. They know if they can shut you up, then they can do whatever they want to do without any consequences. So this is a day that I'm excited to go out and vote. And I'm excited, and I want my people to know that without our vote, you know, faith without deeds is void. You know, I can protest, and I said, if any of you had your behind out there protesting with a sign, I know you at the polls today. I know you are there voting.
Say it.
One is nothing without the other.
You better say it.
Amen. And you know, as a result of the technical expertise that Reverend Watson and Mr. Watkins show, we're able to participate in this from Washington and South Carolina. Mm-hmm. And this show will be further transmitted via YouTube throughout the country. So do you have a message for the country?
Yes. For the country. I know we're all tired. We're exhausted. this has been more than, you couldn't have made this up, because it attacks the soul of who we are as a country. America, this is a country I love, even though she didn't love me back. She didn't love me because of the color of my skin. She didn't love me because I was a woman. She didn't love me because I was born poor. But we as a country stood up together, locked arms. The women, they protested, they chained themselves to the fence. They said, in our America, this country that we love, we will have equal rights. During the civil rights movement, we fought, and during the civil wars, to say that in America, I don't care how evil and how wrong you are, I am a human being. I have the right, and I should have the same rights and freedoms. We fought for rights repeatedly in this country. When we lose our way, we go through voting and we change the ship. I'm saying to America, this ship must be set on the right track. And when I talk about Joe Biden and Kamala Harris, yes, I know that they can run this country, but I'm talking about a healing. I'm talking about a bringing people together all over this country. The divisiveness and the just arrogance of racism that has reared its ugly head. We marched, my forefathers marched and fought and died, and we fought this war before. But it's our time. This is our time to fight. This is our time to stand up. This is our time so our children can read about today and say, when there was a time in this country where someone needed to stand up and fight. My father, my aunt, my cousin, they stood up and fought, just like you talk about Martin Luther King and you talk about Rosa Parks. When you talk about these giants, today is our time to stand up as a country and tell not only the next generation, but to tell this world, all these nations around the world are looking at us today and
That's
say,
right.
who are you, America? And today we have an opportunity to show them. Vote.
Well said. Well said. Thank you, Honorable Brenda Lawrence. Congresswoman Brenda Lawrence and I used to see each other very, very often whenever we were summoned by the Queen, magnificent Franklin. If she'd be on the left side of Aretha, I'd be on the right side.
That's right.
She'd be whispering to both of us, giving instructions.
Yes.
So it's just a blessing to have her as a very special guest today. Thank you, thank you, thank you for all you do and all you are.
How many years have you been on the air? Because I grew up coming to talk to you in the morning.
That's true. More than 25 years.
Yes, I know. I know.
Beautiful.
Long distance runner.
Yes.
Mama Watson is a long distance runner for freedom.
Yeah.
A long distance runner, marathoner.
Yeah, she's a fighter too.
Thank you, Congresswoman. And thank you, all of our guests. Thank you, our very special panel, and a very special thank you to the attorney, Derek A. Humphreys, leader of Black Congress on Health, Law, and Economics. Thank you, executive producer, Dorothy Jackson, JD. Thank you, Dr. Dennis Rogers, the field director of CHLE. Did we hear a word from Greg Humphreys today?
We did not, but I'd like to say a word from the Black Congress on Health, Law, and Economics. We want to say thank you to R.J. Watkins, president of Watkins Broadcasting. Thank you to Henry Tyler, the vice president for Watkins Broadcasting, who does the engineering on the show. And of course, our thank you to you, the Reverend Dr. Honorable Joanne Watson, creator and host of Wake Up Detroit.
God bless all of you and have a magnificent day. This is history. This is history.
Yes.
It is the day the Lord has made.
Let us
We'll be glad and rejoice in it.
RJ and I went to school together. So hi, RJ.
He's watching. Thank you, RJ. Thank you, Maxine. Thank you, Tim. Thank you, everybody at WHPR. Thank you for changing my schedule because normally I'm on Thursdays, but as a very special accommodation for the election, this is a special edition of Wake Up Detroit on this historic election day, November 3rd. The national election is upon us. We're making history right now as we wake up Detroit.
Wake up Detroit. I'm Joanne Watson, and this is your wake-up call.
When a brown girl child is born, the earth shifts. The sun is at half-mast. The moon waits for her first cry. The ancestors set the table. The flowers turn red as blood. This is your land, continent daughter, with tree trunk legs and branches for arms. This is your soil, black and fertile as your eyes facing an apartheid, Jim Crow, current, past memory. Some of us begin the removal of shackles at birth. We grow into the armor of struggle quickly. We brew courage in our tea, blend bravery into our Sunday dinners. Joanne Watson, you understand nation building is not a part-time job. This dedicated life is sometimes lonely, a vulnerable choice, but it is the only way you know how to operate. You are wired for the movement in your black women bones, even when tired, still fighting, still organizing, still singing morning spirituals. You were born to lead, even in your own family, the eldest of 10 children born to Jefferson and